Hello and welcome to Random Access PC Mag's build show. Today we have a really interesting unit to give you. It's small, and that's a little teaser for you. I'm Matthew Buzzy. This is John Burek. What are we doing today, John? There's a lot of parts out, a lot more parts than look like they can maybe fit in this case.
Yes, we're going to see if they fit. So what we have here, let me bring this to the center. We teased this last week on the show. This is a case from a company called BitFenix, and it's called the Portal. It's inspired by the video game Portal, which is about 10 years old this year, I believe.
Yeah. But an icon nonetheless.
Yeah, so it took 10 years, got its own PC case themed by it. So we're going to try and stuff about as powerful a PC into this case as you can, and that's going to be our challenge for the next hour, 2 hours,
Biting off more
3
than we
hours.
can chew? You decide.
Right. Ask me again in 2 hours. Yeah, we'll see. So what we have here is basically what's called a Mini-ITX case, which means that it takes a small motherboard, about 5 inches square, and we have a whole host of very high-end parts that we're going to attempt to make fit. So we're going to take this out of the frame for a moment.
We need to focus on the parts first.
Yeah, so here we go. So what do we have here? Why don't we get the motherboard?
Start with the motherboard.
Right. So
sort of the centerpiece for this build.
Right. So this is a motherboard from ECS. Bring the box up there a little bit, and if you want to angle that a bit towards the camera, I'll take that part off.
Thank you, the bracket fell off there.
Yeah, so what we have here is a ECS motherboard. This is a Mini-ITX board, and it's made for Intel's 7th generation Kaby Lake. We have one of the chips on the board there already. We'll show you how we got it in there in a moment. But basically, this is a small form factor motherboard and Intel's highest end i7 already aboard. So
putting a lot of heat into this case right off the bat.
Right. Yeah, we're going to be getting to the cooling in a moment. We're going to air cool it. But what we've done on this board here, and let's put it up here so we can make it a little more visible. We've installed already a couple of brackets here for a cooler, and the cooler, if you would like to show that off, Matt.
Yes, it's half the size of the case.
Yeah, it's a, you flip it over, it's a Silverstone cooler, the NT06, also called the Nitrogon. Basically, this is a low-profile cooler which will let you fit it into a case that's fairly narrow. Most coolers are kind of tall. They blow directly into the top of the case if there isn't enough clearance, and this will give you enough room to circulate. So if you flip it like this, you'll notice there's a space between the part that touches the CPU and the fans, and the air will blow down through the fins you see here and cool the CPU. So we did a little bit of prep work in advance. We have to admit this is a little bit tight inside this case. So we put a couple of brackets already on the board here, and we already inserted the CPU into the board.
Save a step.
Yeah, I mean, save us half an hour, honestly.
Yeah.
When you get one of these kits, it typically comes with a lot of parts that are usable with a whole host of different types of CPUs for AMD, from Intel. And you don't want to have to sort through all those bags on air.
It's not fun to do, it's not fun to watch.
No, you really don't want to see it.
So you're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. So if you take a look here, these brackets are part of the kit. We already mounted them on here, and then I'm going to flip the board over. There was another bracket that went on the back. Before we did that, we put the CPU in the case, excuse me, in the socket here. So what we're going to do from this point forward is figure out sort of what order we need to put things into this case, because with most small Mini-ITX cases like this, you have to be very careful about what order you put things in. Otherwise, you end up having to take them out again.
Larger cases, you won't run into like an order of operations thing most of the time, but in the small case, you can actually block off components. So
yeah, I mean, and this is probably the ultimate example of that.
Yeah. So this is So let's show people how this actually opens too, because it's not immediately obvious.
Right.
So you sort of check it out.
So here's the case. We're going to unscrew a couple of screws in the back, and of course I drop one inside the case.
Off to a
swimming start. There we go. All right. Take out the interior. So this case is kind of unique in that it comes out on a sort of a rail, like a desk drawer might have. So we're going to just attach it to the rail.
Just yank it, really.
Yeah,
it's very Nicolas Cage in The Rock. In this case is sort of what always comes to mind for me.
There we go. And the reason that we had a little hard time getting that out of there is there's a bunch of cables that are part of the case that we're going to have to route later on. So these will come back to haunt us in an hour or so. Yeah. So let's put them inside the case for now. Let's put this unit over here.
The real case.
Right.
It's the case within a case.
It's the case within a case. So that's one of the things that we have to remember as we're doing this.
Yes.
Is that everything that we do in this case has to somehow fit into this area here.
Even smaller box. Than
Right,
the already
so-
small box.
Right, so that stuff has to go in that box, and that box has to go into that box. So what we're going to be careful of is that as we route cables, everything is sort of inside here and won't get in the way of any of the rails, because once you start sliding stuff in, it'll get in the way.
Yeah, it needs clearance for sure.
Right. So first things first, the motherboard is going to go over here. That's this area here. But I think what we're going to have to do first is put the power supply in, because we were test fitting this before. We put the motherboard in, and it blocked access to it.
Yes.
So what do we have here?
Which is this guy. This is from Silverstone.
Okay.
Bringing this into view.
Yep, that is the
850 watts, correct?
Yes, or 800 watts. Yeah.
800 watts?
So this is a special kind of power supply. And by the way, if anybody has any questions or comments as we move along here, please put them in the comments below the video, and we'd be happy to answer some stuff on the fly. It would also give us a moment to catch our breath.
Sorry, it's a peak 850 watts.
There you go.
If you really want to get adventurous.
Right. So if you want to do a high-end PC in a case like this, you don't have a lot of options. Small power supplies, such as this one, use a form factor called SFX. This is not a normal power supply that you would see in a full-size desktop PC.
Sure.
In this case, requires something that's small. And to find an SFX power supply that actually has as much as 800 watts of power delivery is rare.
Yeah.
Silverstone, I believe, makes the only one right now. There are some 500, 600 watt ones.
Yeah. Normally, if you're going to force yourself to build into such a small case, you'd probably start by not taking such high-end components to begin with.
Right.
The card we're using, the processor we're using, all that stuff, you'd probably scale it down. But we're going all out for you.
Right. We're going to see what we can do in here, and if we have to scale it back, we will.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see if we can fit this in here. So this power supply has a whole bunch of cables going into the back panel. We already put them in here. They're modular cables, and rather than sort through a box of these and show you how they go in, we put them in advance. And just to give you a quick refresher here on what these are, this is for drives. This has a small blade connector on it. This is the main power connector for the motherboard. Let me just untangle it here. This will go into the motherboard. It's the main power feed, and then on the side there's a little thing here that's for the CPU power. Then we have two other cables here for the video card. We're going to be putting a 1080 Ti. I don't think we mentioned that earlier.
We didn't get through everything yet. We'll get through them as we go.
Yeah, but we're going to attempt to put a 1080 Ti, the sort of the highest end consumer gaming card that's possible, in here, and that's going to take a lot of power connectors.
Yes, and space. So if it can't fit, that's one of the things we're going to have to scale back when all the components are in, is the card. But we'll see when we get there.
The case is ready to take it, but once we get all this stuff in there, we'll see how it actually goes.
Yeah.
So,
and I know a lot of you, you're saying we know what those cords are for. I know there's a lot of people who know and build that are watching, so some people might not know. So this is a little refresher for them.
Right.
And also, if you have any comments or questions at all, Social Pete is manning the feed. He's watching for your comments. So if you have any questions, you just want to comment, you want to yell at us, you want to encourage us, I mean, it's all right there for you.
Yeah.
Pete will read it out loud to us, so we'll be able to hear your feedback. So
yes, please.
Bring it on.
All right. So we've basically fitted the power supply in the case over here. I'm just going to grab a couple of screws. Let's see what we have here. So this bunch of screws we have here in this little magnetic tray was what came with the case. They're actually well labeled. This one says 4 pieces for PSU.
I really appreciate whenever they do that.
Yeah, vendors tend not to do that. You tend to get a big bag of screws and you have to figure out what to do with
Figure it out, match them to the manual.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like differences of like a 1/4 of an inch long, and they expect you to just eyeball them and say, oh.
Yep. Yeah, that's
I can tell a 3/4 inch screw from an inch screw.
Right. So here we go. So if you want to start putting some of those in there, here is your chance. All right. And I will help. I'm going to turn this a bit so the camera can get the action. And let me know if you can't screw it in from that angle.
Should be able to. Just got to make sure these line up.
Okay.
Which they do not at the moment.
Okay. So let's take a look. I'm just going to peer over here a bit.
Do it.
Okay. Okay, give it a shot. Just the ones in the corners. I think we only really need 2.
Can only rely on the magnetic screws so much. I need a little bit higher.
A little bit higher?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
That's good. That's better.
So yeah, sometimes installing these things is a 2-person job.
A little higher again?
A little higher? Okay.
Doesn't appear to be going. Oh, no, it dropped in.
Okay. Yeah, let me just turn it this way. Yeah. I'm just going to do a quick job on it.
Yeah. For you.
Yeah, I remember in playing with this earlier on, you do have to use a little bit of force to get the...
Yeah, you got them to line up. There we go.
You got it. Yep. I just wasn't using enough brute force, I suspect.
Yeah, really,
little higher?
A little muscle the parts out of the way.
Yep. Okay, there we go. Yeah, still not going. Okay. Let's see. Let me try smaller screw.
I don't think the holes are
They don't seem to be quite lined up with the case.
quite lining up.
You know what it is? There's a little piece here, and this has to wedge under the plastic there. So basically, the power supply is within about a half a millimeter of fitting.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to line up.
Okay, there we go.
It's so close yet so far.
All right.
It's not going to work.
Just a quick question for you guys.
Sure.
How much is it going to cost to build this PC?
That's a
on your
good
own?
question.
Yeah, so we did actually price it out. We haven't told you all the stuff that's going to be in here, but we added up the parts cost on Amazon today, $2,200. This is not a cheap PC.
Not a cheap build.
And of that, 1,000 would be the video card and the processor. So there are a lot of ways that you could scale this down quite a bit. So we'll discuss that as we get to those parts, but those two parts alone, you could probably chop that in half and still do some pretty decent gaming out of the system. This is really a system that you'll be able to do pure 4K gaming on, and some pretty serious multitasking.
Yeah, which again, you probably wouldn't normally pair with a case like this.
Right.
Some enthusiasts might, it's always nice to have something that saves space and looks cool, but if you're going to pack all the high-end parts in.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're pushing the envelope here. We're not suggesting that this is something that
Like the best value build out there or anything like that.
Yeah, we're really pushing the limit of what this case can do and what sort of existing parts can do in this space.
Yeah, we have all these parts,
Okay.
and so we should use them. We figure.
So here we go. So I know you didn't see any of that as we were doing it because it's a little bit awkward, but we got the power supply installed over here. And these are all the cables that we sort of scoped out before we would need. Now, that's quite a mass of cables, but we're going to just sort of shove them off to the side while we...
It's just such a mess.
Yeah, it'll get better. All right. So there we have it. Okay, so turning this sideways, we have the power supply in the case. Now, the next thing to do, I'm thinking...
Order is important here.
Yeah, I'm thinking what's going to get blocked once we start putting things in here. I'm thinking the motherboard can go over here. The drives, we shouldn't have too much... There's
Should
basically
be
a couple of
okay.
bays up front here, so we should be able to get the drives in.
Yeah, regardless of what else is in.
They won't get blocked.
We'll
Right
be
away.
able to get the RAM in the board after the cooler's on.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably the next thing to do. So why don't we move this aside for a moment? We're just going to put this on the floor.
Toss it away, really.
It'll make it harder to put in the case later.
Who needs it?
We don't want it bent. Motherboard.
Back to the board.
So we have some RAM here. We could probably bring up a bigger picture of the RAM, but this is from Corsair. This is 2 pieces of DDR4 memory, Vengeance LPX. This is high performance memory, 3000 megahertz. You probably don't necessarily need 3000.
Probably not.
You could probably get 2400. We had some of this around here, and you might save 20 or 30 bucks by going with a slower speed. Then again, as we said, with this build, we're not scrimping.
No, we're not messing around.
Right, so there we
All
go.
out.
So here we go. If you'd like to do that, I'm going to rotate this a little bit this way and open the catches on our motherboard. You can see that there. And Matt's going to insert the modules. This kit runs about 150 bucks, $155. DDR4 memory is pretty much the standard now with high-end PCs. So pricing on that has gotten more aggressive than it was in years past. We put 16 gigs in here. You could conceivably buy two 16s, put 32 in, but 16 is good for a high-end gaming build.
If everything was as easy as installing the RAM,
That
we'd be
was
in heaven.
a relief. So that was our Corsair Vengeance LPX. That's in place there, and we'll see in terms of fit how we'll be able to get the CPU cooler over that. It's going to be
it's gonna be
interesting.
Yeah,
all right, so let's see. I think it's time to start getting it in the case.
I think so. It's probably the best bet, right?
All right, yeah. So let's put this over here for a moment.
Out of the way. Bring back our good friend.
All right. All right. So here's the core of the portal case. Let's turn it around.
It's husk.
Yeah. Put it this way.
Yeah, if anyone's played the game, it looks both like a little bit like the gun, but more like the turrets a bit, I think.
Yeah.
The beloved dialogue wielding turrets.
Yeah, this case, actually, you could also get it in black, which I don't think is quite the same effect, right? The turret in the game was white or silver?
But it had like the black lines running through it like the gun did, so it evokes that very much so.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. One thing I just pulled out of the box here, I realized we didn't install yet. This is the I/O plate, basically the part of the motherboard that goes in the back of the case and covers up the ports. So I'm going to install that now. Let's see, where's it go in this case? This is the back. Okay,
Back's
so
over
let's
there.
turn this way. So this end is up.
Just pop that in. Some
Yep.
nice shielding. Keep
Yeah, just
keep
make
debris out of your system.
There we go.
Keep the
All right.
riffraff out.
This is the part of the case where you're most likely to cut yourself, as I've found.
Which is kind of surprising, but it's really just a thin metal sheet. So
Yeah, with sharp edges. So,
Yeah.
you know, what could go wrong? Anyway, that's in. And usually a good thing. Sorry.
Go for it.
Good thing to do is when you install this is just to dry fit the motherboard in there to make sure that the ports show through properly. Which in this case looks good. So they're fitting through the punch outs there. So here's the thing. We're going to turn this sideways. We've put the motherboard in place, and what I'm thinking is why don't we screw it down with one screw? Because I have a feeling we're going to be taking it out again.
Sure.
We're going to realize something is not going to fit.
just keep it in place for now.
Yes.
Hold it steady.
So I'm just going to do a quick, let's see.
We have a
screwdriver.
question
Ah.
while you're doing so.
All right.
Someone's concerned about us scratching up the table or the case.
poor
Is this
table.
usually the type of surface you would work on?
Oh, no.
Not ideally. Not much about this is ideal, really. Too many expensive parts, too small of a case, the wrong surface. No, I mean,
I would suggest probably putting down a towel.
yeah, something else.
And it depends on the material, too. This is plastic. I would more worry about the table than the case.
Yeah, the case will be fine.
Yeah,
and I
I
don't
mean-
think we're particularly worried about this table. Sorry,
Yeah.
table.
I take it back. The case, this part here is aluminum. Some of the edging here is plastic. So the case
Then-
will probably be okay.
yeah.
Good if you like your table. I
Yeah,
would
we'll
put
try to
down-
lift and turn, not turn it while it's on the table and stuff. But
yeah, if you forked over the $2,200 for this, I would suggest you put down
Something.
cashmere scarf.
yeah. Sometimes I'll build on the box.
Grandma's
Something comes
quilt.
in that's big enough. Like
Yeah.
it makes a nice little base. Yeah, but
Yeah, nice fleece maybe.
Yeah.
That said,
static.
ground yourself.
You're right.
Yeah.
Don't want to be like shuffling around on a fleece.
Right. So we have it. So we have it in here. Now I'm thinking.
What do you think?
Generally speaking, with
Let me inside the head of John Burek.
Oh,
It's
you
a
know,
really,
it's
it's a place
not-
I've always wanted to go.
You don't want to go there, trust me. When you have the opportunity to plug something in a case like this, where you don't have a lot of room to
Yeah.
manipulate, take the opportunity to do it. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to do here. So what we're going to do is start plugging in some of the power supply connectors that are going to be inaccessible later once you start putting things over them. So
Makes
here's
sense to me.
So here's the main power supply connector that's going in to the main power connector here. Now, Matt, you might want to point that out on the board behind
Yeah,
us
we
there.
do have a diagram here to give you a better close-up, if you should want it, of what this board looks like. That would be this giant port for main power. Here is what John's currently connecting to.
Right.
This is the CPU-less socket, which you didn't get to see because we installed it beforehand. And all this will be blocked soon by our giant cooler. So get a good look at it now, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's the key thing is that as you install each of these parts in here, something else is going to get blocked. So
Yeah, always a concern in most cases. In this case,
yes,
double
any
on top
Mini-ITX
there.
case.
In this case, especially.
Yeah, in any Mini-ITX case, you're basically going to run into this problem, but it's going to be different, depending on the design. All right, so this one is for the power supply for the video card. Same with this, so we're going to keep them.
Keep those on the
so
side
those
for
are
now.
going in last. These are for the drives. So I'm going to regret this, but I'm going to put this in here. So this is where the drives are going to go later. I'm just going to
Yeah.
stuff these cables in there.
That way they're out of the
to get them
way.
out of the way. And I will regret this later because I will probably not be able to get them out again. But hey,
But they're out of the way for now.
it's a calculated risk. Okay, so the power stuff that we can hook up now is hooked up. What next?
What next?
All right, so we have a cable here for the. I have to remember to hook that up later. That's for the rear fan.
Fans are good.
Yeah, fans are going to be very important in this particular case.
It does have a case fan included, correct? This fan is
Yes,
two.
it does.
This case
Yeah.
is two fans. We have a question.
We've got a more sweeping question, which is, what is the point of this build?
What is the point of this build? The point of this build is to show what you can do in a case this small. It's an interesting design case. It looks funky. It's kind of unique. So what kind of parts can you get out of that of something you might find aesthetically pleasing or just fun to have around? You think small builds, you sometimes maybe think I can't get much power in it. We're trying to see how much power you can actually get in it.
Right.
As we said, it's not really a value build. You can get a better bang for your buck maybe for a different case
Right.
and a different design, but it's going to be powerful for something so small. We're trying to max it out, essentially.
Yep. Yeah. What's happening here is you could go much smaller. You could probably go to Core i5 and a 1060 card and chop $500 or $700 off this build and still be able to play 1080p gaming, very, very well.
Yeah.
So it's it's really more of a let's see if we can do it
Why not?
kind of build.
Yeah.
Right. I was actually going to look in here for something in that black box, I believe. We're missing one cable for the CPU power. Let's see, where is it? Okay. We will have to hunt it down later. It might be off camera, and I may have to go look for it after. But we'll see before the end of the hour where it is. And if one of my colleagues is looking, he could actually take a look and see if those cables are on our bench. So
Hopefully,
Yeah.
putting that out into the ether.
all right, so there he is. So if he's watching, we will do that. Otherwise, I will run off camera for a moment and go get it later.
I'll do a jig.
Okay, fair enough. So anyway, we have let's see, drives.
Drives, check.
We can do that. I'm thinking.
What drives? We keep mentioning the drives. What storage did we include?
Yeah, right.
For this
True.
build?
So, in theory, we're going to put
if everything works out,
a SSD, a SanDisk SSD. Here we go.
ta-da!
SanDisk.
Brought to you by
this-
SanDisk.
Yes, basically the same as WD at this point. WD owns SanDisk, and this is in essence a WD version or a SanDisk version of a WD drive. This is a terabyte drive. It uses 3D NAND. It's value oriented, but it's a full terabyte. So there we have it.
Not an M.2, but it's
No, yeah, this board is a little tricky with M.2. In a case like this, I probably would use an M.2 SSD.
save more.
Yeah,
RAM.
but the board has the M2 on the back of the board.
Interesting.
And the
It's
case,
just a complication we didn't need.
right, exactly. And you have room for drives here, so we're going to see what happens.
It's going to load up.
And if we could make it fit,
In addition to that,
4 terabyte hard drive.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling this is a Seagate 4 terabyte. It may or may not fit. We will find out as the cabling develops. Okay. So let's see. We have. So here's the thing. We have some cables that need to attach from this portion of the case,
Right.
which I don't know if that's on camera. Maybe you need to tweak it over a little bit to this portion of the case. We are going to do those last because the two pieces of the case need to be close together. Right. But what I'm thinking is if we put the CPU cooler in here now, it's going to block this power supply connector that we need. So we're going to need to get that connector that was over here. And it may be in one of these boxes.
It's just possible it's
yeah,
not over
let's
there
take
at
a quick look. I was unpacking this stuff and just sort of putting aside the stuff that we need. And let's see, it's not in
Empty.
here. Not in there. It's definitely not in there.
definitely not in here. He says
Yeah.
definite. He's confident, folks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a cluster of cables that look like this. So actually, I'm going to run off camera for approximately 30
You do
seconds.
it. You would know best
I know
where
exactly where
they
they are, and you can explain about Portal.
I'll do an answer. I'll do a jig. Portal, beloved icon Portal. I'm not sure if I would have known offhand that this case was Portal inspired. If you haven't told me, I mean,
Yeah, is it?
I
Yeah,
see it
it's
now
definitely
easily once you say it. I immediately see it. But beloved game, beloved iconic game, enough to have a computer case designed after it. Kind of a nice retro, a nice future aesthetic, rather I should say. Sleek, white, modern, everything you want your case to be. But I do like this sliding component. It's kind of my favorite part. As I said, I can't stop thinking of The Rock.
So here's the thing.
What is the thing?
The thing is, I'm trying to figure out where this cable is that we need to plug in here, and it may be in here, and I'm just not seeing it.
It's possible.
Yeah, so I just need to dig a little bit.
Just need to wish.
Yeah, just wish harder. Let's see. Okay, so basically we have a I see. Okay, that might be it. Yeah, pardon me while I go through this
Scrounging.
pile of cables here. So basically, anytime you buy a power supply that has modular cables, which are the are these guys here? 6-pin? No.
Close.
Yeah, let's see. Nope. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look for it after, but we'll get it later. Let's see. I'm just seeing if it's attached to one of the existing cables.
It may be.
Yeah,
Every
these
case
are,
is different.
Yep. Well, every power supply sort of has their cables arranged differently. This one, it may be back here.
It's hiding on you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was test fitting things in this case before, and I'm wondering if I didn't leave it out on the bench somewhere. So, yeah, I might ask my colleague to go take another look and see if he can find a cable that looks like this, but with 4 pins at the other end. So I'm going to throw this to one of our assistants off screen. Thank you. And we'll keep
magic.
going. All right. So in the meantime, I'm going to start putting some of the drives in the system. We can do that in the meantime. That's no problem.
Easy peasy.
All right. So we have a tray here that we can put the hard drive in. So let's see. This is going to go in like this. This will go like this. And we are going to line up these holes here and screw it in. So I'm going to have my esteemed colleague here do that along with this bag of screws, which says 8 pieces for hard drive. I think if you put 2 of them in, we'll be fine. And here we go. Whoops. Okay. Then in the meantime, this SanDisk drive could go in one of these trays as well, but I'm thinking there's also a slot over here on the top of the chassis frame here. So I'm going to take that out. Oops. Actually, I'm going to get myself a screwdriver. Let's see. So in the meantime, if anybody has any questions, we would be happy to answer them.
Oh, did you ever find out whether this was officially licensed from Valve?
No, I actually did inquire about that, and I did not get an answer. So I looked on BitFenix's site, and I don't see any sort of.
I wasn't getting the impression that it was.
Yeah, so I suspect that it may not be.
It's not like Portal TM. It's just
Right, we didn't see any
Portal
trademark
case.
on there. So I'm going to let's see.
We have a whole. You couldn't ask for more
Oh
cables.
boy, that's let's see, what is that? Where did that come from?
I don't know. You got to start digging.
All right, I'll start digging in that in a moment. Okay. I will take a look at that in a moment. In the meantime...
And they're back.
Yeah, I have a feeling the cable I'm looking for is actually sitting out on the bench somewhere, loose. And it has 4 pins on one end. Let's see. So in the meantime...
Maybe you threw it away in a fit of rage.
Oh, no. Not yet. Let's see.
Got a hard drive for you.
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, I'm just going to put a couple screws into the SSD over here. This is proving a little bit tricky. All right, so you can insert that.
Watch the wild John as he works.
Yeah. You know what? I got the wrong screws. That's probably the problem here. Let's see. Although they do say 21 pieces for SSD and MB, which is what we have here in SSD, seems to not be lining up quite right. Can I take the screwdriver?
Yeah,
I might need a little brute force.
Always the way. Always the answer in any good build.
Yeah, exactly. Once you've done your requisite, requisite couple of minutes of struggling with it, then just brute force the screws in.
It's always best bet.
Yep. There we go.
Can't beat it.
All right, screwing in this side. There it goes. That's what it took. More force.
More force. It's always the answer. It's not. Don't.
Yeah, don't.
It's not actual advice for PC building.
Yeah, can we get like a subtitle under that? Not actual
Well,
PC
asterisk,
building
yeah.
advice. Yeah.
If it's not fitting, don't. You're probably going to break something.
Yeah. I mean, we could be casual about this because we're using loaner equipment here. But if you're forking over your
if you
$300 for a terabyte SSD, you don't want to force anything. All right. Okay, so SSD is mounted up here. Hopefully the cabling will work out. We will figure that out in a moment. And then, let's see, pull this through here. We're going to use the last connector on there, if you'd be so kind. Okay, put that
Doink.
there. All right, in the motherboard box is probably going to be a serial ATA cable. Can we grab that? Oh, that's going to go the other way. Okay. So this connector is keyed. Got to get it the right way for it to snap on. Whoops.
A lot of paperwork.
Okay. Yeah, that's all right.
Got that.
Okay, we're going to need both. Oh, how handy.
Look at that.
All
They're
right.
tied together.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so we have the hard drive. I'm putting the power connector and a data connector on here. I'm just doing this in advance because running these cables later is going to be difficult once there's other stuff in the case.
We have a question. Why do you do this?
Yes.
You may be familiar with this question. Where is your electrostatic protection?
People love the electrostatic protection. I mean, we're going to maybe rue it one day when something fries.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I guess we could use it. Maybe we should use it just so that people don't get angry at us out there.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I've built about 200 PCs in my day. I mean, mostly in the New York area, where humidity is moderate to high, and haven't had any situations where I've fried things. I've fried things for other reasons.
Yeah, I don't usually pay. Maybe this is poor planning, but I don't usually pay particular attention to the static protection.
Right. That said,
I've never broken anything.
Yeah. That said, if you live in Arizona, ignore us completely.
Different situation.
And get a strap. Yeah. I mean, it's really down to the kind of surface you're working on, your comfort level with remembering to ground yourself. I mean, if you typically ground yourself on a piece of metal or the case itself, you'll be okay.
Don't do a lot of shuffling on the carpet.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. So we have the two drive. Well, this drive is in, and we have the data cable and the power cable connected with this one. We have to still do that.
Indeed.
Let's see. So I think the next thing we can do, or the only next thing we can do, is to let's see. What is that? Hey, is it our? No, it isn't. Not the cable.
Fake out.
I'm going to go take a very quick look.
Take one last look. If not, we'll just move on without it, and we'll turn on.
Right, and it won't turn on. Right. So there's that.
We'll still build it.
All right.
We'll still make sure it can happen.
We'll find the cable. I'll be right back.
He's confident, folks. He's confident in the cabling. Yeah, I wish I had a more entertaining halftime trick for you here. Do some quick juggling. We actually didn't get through all the components, so that can be my juggling. We do have a 1080 Ti ready to go. These are really nice, and I really want to buy one. I'm trying to tell myself that I don't need one. I still have a 980 Ti, my current build, and it's doing fine in modern gaming. I could probably just do a 1080 and be more than satisfied. I'm not playing in 4K at home. I'm on a 2K screen, so 1440p, if you will. You do get more frames, though, if you want to buy a super high refresh rate monitor or something to match out with. You're always going to get more frames and better performance out of it. Also future-proofs you better. So there's an excuse to be made to upgrade at really any given time, but it's hard to justify. These cards are really expensive. If that doesn't fit, we do have a backup, the 1060. It looks similar, but not quite as beefed up. And that should fit because it's a little smaller. So those are your options.
There we go. So no, don't mind me. I'm just going through a box of cables for a
John's
similar.
just trolling.
I'm just trolling through cables here.
Trolling.
So it just should take me another moment, and I'm fairly confident that I will find what we're looking
Speaking
for.
of graphics cards, I don't think we showed you the top of the case. It has a window for the graphics card. It will be, all things going well, built into the case with the window. The graphics card is showing through the window. So if everything's in place, we can slide this back in, and hopefully, if it's turned on, the lights should show up through the top. So that would be cool. The ports for this case are in a kind of neat spot. Also, they're on the side there. I don't know if we showed that before for sure. They're kind of at an angle, nestled in the little cross section. So that's kind of an interesting little thing, which means the back and flush. The front is flush except for the power button. So,
Hey, I think I got it.
look at that.
All right. It was there all along. It's actually, and I feel like we did a build a while ago, and this was the same issue.
This particular cord button hit on us.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm not real happy with it. But here it is. So basically, we have an 8-pin connector here and a connector that splits into two 4-pin connectors. The thing is this board, you can't see it probably. I'll try and angle it up a bit for the camera. Has a 4-pin connector in the corner, and some boards have an 8-pin connector. You can split it apart and just use 4 of the pins. Problem was when I looked in the box, couldn't tell it split.
That was key.
Gets me every time. So, all right. So let's plug that in.
Move this unsightly
Yeah.
cardboard box out of your way.
That's fair. Whoops, I'm doing. Yeah, we're trying to keep this visible to you, but it's hard to build
There's
backwards,
so much
right?
you can do with a camera
Yeah.
getting in the case.
Yeah.
Put a GoPro on John's head.
we have discussed that.
It's a half serious suggestion.
That's not a place you want to be on top of my head. Let's see. Okay. I think we are good.
I think we are golden.
So this is, see, if you're actually building this on your own, typically, when this happens, you go get a beer. You go look up some stuff on the internet or something, and, you come back to it. We don't have that luxury, so you get to see
We're
us
in the
sweat.
pressure cooker.
Yeah. All right, I think we're good. So adding another cable to the fun here. Now, the nice thing about this case here is that, or I should say the blessing you have here, is that there's an empty space in the front here where you can shove all the cables.
That's going to be key.
That's going to be very key. That is going to be more than key. So I think we're good. Just making sure that's actually fastened in, because once
Once
that thing goes in there, it's like all bets are off.
Yeah, there's no getting back to the board anymore.
Yeah, so I'm taking a look at what other things need to be plugged in the meantime. This is the, let's put this in. This here is the cable for the rear fan. This is the rear of the case, right? Okay.
Indeed.
A couple of connectors. This one can go onto the board. You actually might want to take a look on the board there on the screen, and we'll see if I can.
Back to the video. I'm not sure which way you're oriented.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying to figure it out myself. System fan.
So this is the rear. This would be the side. This is where we put the RAM in.
over here.
So it'll be these pins.
Yeah, there's some pins over there. You can't see it on screen, but we're going to be plugging
Just
this
the
in.
headers. If you've built a computer, standard
Yeah.
fare. If you haven't, this is where all these different parts draw power. Connect to the board.
Whoops. Okay. Got it off by one pin. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this is where cable ties are going to be your best friend.
If you do have the patience and the care, honestly, 'cause some people just close their case and don't want to look at it again.
Right, but for airflow, it's generally a good idea.
Yes,
to at
especially in
least,
something so small.
yeah. So here's one slight problem in that here's our cooler, which is going to go in here. I'm going to take the fan off, and getting it back on might be an ordeal.
It's risky. It's risky business.
Yeah, let's take it off. This is going to take a few minutes to get back on afterwards. The reason I'm taking it off is because this has to be plugged in this corner here, and once that is in place, you won't be able to reach it. So I'm going to plug, this is the power connector for the fan.
In it goes.
In it goes, and we're going to leave it hanging out over here and attempt to reattach it later. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right, here's what we're going to do, I think, just to make our lives a little easier. Is we're going to
I like hearing that.
Yeah,
It's rare.
this we're going to need. This we're not. I'm just throwing it on the floor. I'm going to bring the other half of the case over and start hooking up some of the cables that belong to that part of the case.
Yeah, that's one of the weird challenges of this case is that
Yeah, once,
it has two parts.
yes, exactly. And once you put that cooler in there, everything's going to be inaccessible.
Yes.
So let's do this.
Get ahead of the game here.
Yeah. So, whoops. All right, so these are the beasts that we must contend with. We have this thing, which is basically the connectors for the ports, which you can't see on camera there, but I'll tilt it up so you can see them. There are some ports and a power button there. This little bouquet of connectors has to be plugged into the board there. We're going to do that because it's be very hard to access otherwise.
Why don't you go ahead and do that as you're explaining? That way we can save
That's a good
time.
idea.
Just start going.
Hold those if you would.
Start going.
All right. So we do have a cheat sheet here, so I'm just going to check that while we work because this is very difficult to do under pressure. So I will see power switch.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
not going to take much time, but it just takes. It's a little finicky because they're this
Yep.
big and the font is even smaller.
Yeah, some motherboards come with a little block that you sort of just plug all these into, and then you plug it in there. Unfortunately, this ECS board doesn't do that. That's kind of a trait of many higher-end boards, ASUS and MSI, Gigabyte. They tend to be good about that. This, not to generalize on brands, but ECS boards typically don't do that. The reason we chose this board, it was a nice budget option for Mini-ITX, about $109. These kind of boards can get pretty pricey pretty quick, actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just because they're smaller doesn't mean they're cheaper. As a matter of fact,
Sometimes
it's
the opposite.
yeah, actually quite often the opposite. Yeah. All right, I think we got it. So those are in. So those are the front panel connectors. And look at that. I did exactly what I said we shouldn't do, which is put it on the outside of the
You
frame.
didn't thread it through.
Yeah, I think we might be okay though.
Maybe.
Or maybe not. Actually, you know what?
Let's do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Because when you have to slide the case in later, you want anything.
And there's more stuff in its way. Yeah, you got to get this
Might
right.
as well just do it right.
Yep, do it right now. Okay. So hard drive. So basically, I'm plugging in the connector for the hard drive, the reset switch. This would be the hard drive LED, I should say. Basically, the
The
activity.
little light that tells you that the hard drive's working.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Sorry, this is a little bit tight in here. Reset switch.
As expected.
Yep. This is the power switch. So when the system doesn't power up, this is the first place you look. So let's make sure I get this one right. Now you see, now that I'm looking at this, probably putting the RAM in later would have been wise, because now the RAM is in the way of installing these things here, and this is kind of one of the perils of working with a board this small. Okay.
Getting there.
Getting there. 2 more connectors. I mean, these are technically not even necessary, but we'll put them on. We want the power button to light up.
It's half the fun.
Right. Okay. I think we're good. So what are the 2 we got there?
Bam. Audio.
Okay, HD audio. So let's take that, run that through here. So basically there's a small header on the board here. You can probably see it up there, which is in the lower right corner. That's going to go on here. Okay, and now this one, yeah, this one is tricky. That one I'm going to leave to later because I tried fitting this before and it was troublesome. And I don't want to break the connector. So let's leave that one loose for now.
Sounds good.
All right, so main power connector's plugged in. We still have to plug in the SSD, so we have a boot drive.
That'd be ideal.
Yeah, but here's where this is going to be the fun part. It's going to be getting the cooler on.
Around all these wires.
Right, so this cooler is, there's a bracket here. Basically, the bracket has to go this way. Mm-hmm. The cooler has to go, I believe, to test fit it here.
Everybody out of the way.
Yeah, right. Nope. That way.
That away.
Let's see.
Try to hold the wires out of your way.
I believe that's the direction. Thank you very much. Now, ideally, I would have done this with board outside the case, but then it would have blocked all the...
Right.
Yeah, so you know what? The other thing I didn't do yet is putting the thermal paste on here. So here's what we're going to do. We're not actually going to put the thermal paste on today, and we're only going to fire up the system for a moment. It'll be fine, but ordinarily what you would do here is smear thermal paste, which comes with the CPU cooler, on the top of the CPU. You can run a PC without it as long as you're not stressing it too heavily, and we're not going to be, playing 4K games on this thing until we take it apart and actually route it up nice.
Right, right.
So I'm going to avoid us gunking up our hands and smearing it on the case.
Sure.
By not putting it on right now. So let's do that.
Radiator's drawn blood.
Oh yes, look, I cut myself.
War wounds. Official war wound.
Yeah, if you haven't cut yourself building a PC,
I don't think
you haven't built a PC.
No.
Yeah. So we do have a we have some blood there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's a tissue somewhere in there, and
reality television. Folks.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So blood. Actually, cooler drew first blood. All right. All right.
The bracket fell off there. Careful.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah. So again, exposed metal, not your friend. All right. All right. So we could probably have to route this a little bit closer here. Okay. Okay. Now, this is going to be a little tricky, but I'm going to first wipe off my hand so I don't bleed on the case.
Yeah, I mean,
in one of these boxes,
is it really your case? You haven't bled on it though.
Yeah, but it's white. It'll show up really. Actually, I did come.
It's like war paint, custom decal.
Yeah, there we go.
Smear like a handprint.
All right, there we are.
There you go.
There we are.
Good as new.
Yeah, right. Nothing ever happened. Yeah, cool. Let's see. This I would ask you to help me, but
I don't even know where to begin.
I'm not even sure where to begin myself. So I'll try and talk through what I'm doing here, and this is probably going to take a few tries. But I'm trying to center this bracket onto a tab over here, or a post, and you have to use a sort of a long, thin screwdriver to get this all together. Now, and what I may need to do is, unfortunately, turn the case around. Well, I can't turn the case around.
Blood check.
Yep,
too.
blood check.
You got
All
more
right.
assistance on hand.
Yeah, there we go.
Medical team standing by.
Bring the paramedic, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Since everything's attached together here, I'm going to come around the other side of the table to deal this.
Don't mind.
Yeah, so you can.
Don't mind John.
You could just get the plasma unit together, and I will. Let's see. Move this where it needs to be. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, they just give you 2 cutouts
See
through
these
the
things
top.
here?
So
These cables here are the trouble.
They're in the
Those
way.
Need to, whoop.
I will hold them out of your way.
All right. Okay. Okay. Don't move. I think we have it.
Looks.
I just gotta get. If I can get one side of this down, we will be okay.
It's extremely tight in there.
Yeah. I mean, what I would probably do is reroute this stuff later. But in the interest of time, I think that's pretty good, actually. All right, now, this is the hardest part. Let me come on that side.
Back around. Come join us.
So this particular cooler is designed to work in spaces like this. So it's more a question of limiting the choice of parts that you put in here to keep. Wow, it's actually in. How do you like that?
Look at that. You actually did the thing.
I did the thing. All right, so let's just screw that down.
Safe and secure.
Yeah, I'm just alternately doing either side so it goes down evenly. I think we're good. Now, the only thing is we have to put the fan back on top of here.
Yes.
So where did that go?
Where did that go?
Let's see. Let's take this out of the way.
What did we do with it?
Yeah, what did we do with the fan? I think when, let's see.
Let's go wind back through the videotape to see what happened to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Was it on the floor?
No, that was
We did put it over there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh, right.
attached to the
Yes,
case.
that's right. We
Yeah.
attached it to the case.
It was literally hanging off the case, off the side of the table.
All right, let's see if I can feed it back through here now. Pardon my my war wound here. All right. So there's a.
Yeah, that fan still being attached to the radiator while you were trying to install it would have only
Made things a little more difficult, right? So I did try this beforehand. Let's see. All right. You know what? I just realized it's going to be very hard to get the other side.
The other one, yeah, is going to
Yeah.
really be a challenge.
All right. Let's see. Maybe I should put that one on first. What do
Maybe.
you think?
Trying to clear the decks here. Yeah, it's like a metal clip, and then that clamps into the sides of the radiator.
Okay, I have it, I think.
There's
Just
a
use
hole.
something here to push it down. It flew off. Okay. There we go. Almost. Let's see. One side came off, and now it's, of course, wedged underneath the...
These are the Mini-ITX challenges that you encounter.
Yep. It's all good. Yep, that's not going to work. This is our part picker, but it's not strong enough to pull it out.
The grip is not quite.
All right. Pardon me, Matt. I'm just going to have to, do a little brute force here again. Here it is. There we go. It's loose, yeah. Okay, so you know what? Let's put this side on first. Because this will be the tougher side.
Yeah, for sure.
And then maybe you could hold it down while I get the other side on. All right, so...
Open that up.
Okay, now, one moment. Damn, it came off. Okay, all right. One more time. So here's a trick, perhaps, that might work, is... Yeah, this mounting mechanism, I have to say, is not my favorite. Although not uncommon. All right, it's off. Hold on. The problem is that these cables
wires
here...
in the back, you
yeah,
bumping
can you
it
hold
off.
those over there?
Yeah.
Forward? Yeah, okay. Okay, that's good.
Have about this much space between the radiator and the power supply to work.
Yeah, so this is a case for... technically, this cooler fits in here, but I don't know if I would recommend it for use with this case.
But practicality is a different story.
It's a different story. It's really not a great fit.
We have a question.
We have a question.
How do you plan to test the PC once it's built?
After many beers. No, but seriously, we will...
This side popped off.
yeah, popped off again. Let me...
Actually, don't. There physically may not be the clearance for it.
yeah, I think it is.
There it is. Yeah, you just have to
do.
do it without pushing it.
Yeah, we will benchmark it, and probably there will be some modification to the config. Yeah, it's... I think it might be bent now, so...
Cool.
Yeah. Let's see. Sweet. So we will first see if, even thermally, like running a couple of benchmarks, if it starts to throttle. If so, we might revise what we put in
What
here.
parts are in,
yeah, I think so. Okay, so let's try this one more time. I think it's possible to do, but we have to, we'll have to be coordinated. I got this.
Yeah.
This needs to be out of the way.
This needs to be out of the way.
Here, actually, let me clear this over here.
These things are all pushing.
You don't,
it
oh,
off.
no,
Did
that
I
was
just pull it
the...
off? Damn it.
yeah, don't pull that off. Oh, hold on, wait. Let me see what's here.
That was loose already.
Okay, let me let me just get down in here. It's fine. I just don't want to pull, because if anything comes off underneath the
That's
thing,
it,
then
yeah,
take it
there's
all
no-
off again.
no way to get back
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So this is
There's a cable right in the way.
I see it. Yeah. You know what
This is a case for liquid cooling.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. This is a case for a different cooler or liquid cooling. Yeah, let me
This wire.
Yeah, just hold that out of the way. Yeah. Sorry, I realize that this probably is not the makes for the most enthralling watching, but this is
These are the sort of problems you run into if you try things like this.
With Mini-ITX systems, typically you end up running into a hurdle like this and then taking a good bit of it apart to
Maybe having to
get all
swap
that
out
together.
components.
Yep. But I'm going to make this work.
He's determined.
Let's see. I will do my best anyway. Okay, now let's not. Here's what Matt. You know what you could do is hold it here and make sure it doesn't pop out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Now that finger has to move so I can get this under.
So many wires.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that people not use a case of this size for their first build?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely not.
This is probably, in my high many dozens of case builds over the last 10 years, and this is one of the more challenging ones, I have to say. No, this is not beginner territory. This is more, hey, is it possible to do this, and what is possible with today's technology? I got it. Don't pop out.
It's even harder to troubleshoot issues if you're seeing them for the first time. You know what the issues would be, at least if you've built traditional cases before.
Yeah. Yeah, this is that's not going to work.
Right.
I have to say, I think we might be stuck. So let me try a couple more things here. Can you just hold the case steady because it keeps sliding around?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only is it a small amount of room to work, there's cables in between the clearance needed for the clamp and the power supply.
I mean, this can be done. It's just a little bit.
It has to be a great run.
Yeah, you just got to get.
You need a clean run.
Yep. All right, close. We're close. Let's see. Holy cow!
Ah,
We got it.
There you
All
go.
right. Okay.
Boom.
So, whew, all right. Yeah, that's actually on. So basically, don't do that.
liquid cool it maybe. in
Yeah,
something
we
this
will
small.
probably be following up with a better cooler for this. All right, so where are we?
But it is possible if you persevere.
Yeah, so the couple of things that we have left are the video card, hooking up the boot drive, and the the USB 3 cable.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, so let's put this in.
Yeah, you probably want your USB ports to do things.
Yeah, so this big cable here hooks up the USB ports on the front of the case, and that's good. Okay, so I think we're close. So now, to do this properly, I think, Matt, I may have to ask you to hold the case upright and steady, because it doesn't really... The one thing about this case that I'm not too keen on is that it doesn't stand up very stably.
The bottom's rounded, so...
Yeah, so if you could hold that steady.
Yeah, although...
Well, this might not... I think we might need an L-shaped... just realized we may have to send someone off camera for an L-shaped SATA cable.
Oh, because it's too much...
Not enough room.
corners on the side
Yeah,
here.
and the motherboard didn't come with one. So there is that little problem. So I'm just plugging in the SATA cables, but we may need to replace one when the time comes. So, my wound seems to have healed.
Yeah, it's really...
Yeah, blood
Really clotting up fast.
Clotting is good. Yeah, there we go.
Look at your plate. Let's go.
Let's see. Just looking for where the... there's one more cable that needs to plug in over here. I'm just trying to figure out where it went. All right. Oh, here it is.
There's more volume of cable in this case than case.
Yeah. There's actually, I've seen worse, believe it or not. And this makes you appreciate what boutique vendors do when they build a system in a small case.
When people ask what you pay for when you order a system rather than building it yourself, it's the not hassle.
Right.
And really, it looks a lot nicer. More than likely, will look a lot nicer than anything you're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, this actually is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, getting there was difficult.
Sure.
All right, so basically we just need a couple of things. We need an L-shaped SATA cable, which one of our colleagues hopefully can
Will it
serve
definitely
up.
not close, or is it just looking...
We could try. I think it's going to get... I'm afraid it might damage something there. I mean, we could try it, but The other thing is we have a fan here. This is the back fan we didn't plug in yet. I'm going to try and plug that in.
Find a header for it.
Let's see if we can take a look on there. Can we locate where that would be?
Cheat sheet.
I don't see another one. So what we might have to do is convert one of these cables here.
Interesting.
Let's see. Pardon me while I go rooting through cables.
He's digging again.
I'm digging. Let's see.
Yeah, this radiator blocks about 75% of the motherboard from view. So
Yeah, that's. I would not use that next time. Let's see. Adding another cable here.
just what we needed.
More cables.
We were looking at this build and we kind of thought, you know what it needs?
More cables.
More cables. Not enough.
Right. Oh, and this is the one. Oh, it says not have the right connector on it. So let's take it out again. Okay, so what we're going to do in this case
Literally.
is I think we are going to forestall this fan for now. What we would do if we were rebuilding this PC, we had plugged the front fan, or excuse me, the back fan, into the board. I would have plugged that one into the power supply and this one into the board.
Right.
But we'll be okay. It's all good. Okay. All right, so we're about ready to put this together. Let's see if we can do this with that existing SATA cable. If it doesn't, I will go run off screen and grab us a L-shaped SATA cable.
What about the graphics card?
We are going to do that on the way in.
On the way in? Like halfway through
Yes.
sliding?
Yeah, we're going. That's going to be interesting.
On the run, I'm just going to dunk it into the PC anyway.
Actually, should we do that or no? I think we could just put it in now.
Probably. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so. For some reason, I thought we would have to wait, but let's give it a try. So on this case, we have a bracket in the back here, which is another sort of oddball mounting mechanism. I don't know if that, just make sure when you're taking it off, you can see how it goes back on. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it goes straight up. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it goes on again like that. Let's get our card.
The TI.
There we
Ta-da.
go. All right.
It's back.
All right, so let's see if we can get the TI into this space over here. Now, ideally, I wouldn't put a 1080 Ti in here without this extra fan.
Sure.
But we're just going to fire
Again,
it up.
we didn't thermal paste. We didn't.
Yeah, this is a do not run for long type
Do
of
not
PC.
use.
Right. Very nice.
And this card is not cheap, John. How much does this card run on its own these days?
What, about $7.99? Thereabouts, depending on who you get it from. This is an NVIDIA official version, but if you get them from MSI, ASUS, I mean, they're all somewhere in the $750 to $850 range, depending on which model you go with.
Rent, half a month's rent, depending where you live.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, it's not cheap. And the, as a matter of fact, whoops, excuse me, I got to turn this bit to screw this down. If you go a step down, which is the GTX 1080, $500. So $200 extra dollars of groceries or college savings. Yeah, yeah. This is
Which one's more important is really I think the answer is obvious here.
Or 4K versus 1080p gaming. I mean, you have to have your
Yeah,
priorities.
is there any reason for non-4K gamers to get a TI instead of a 1080?
I mean, unless you're doing other applications which could make use of it, which are not gaming, sort of machine learning type stuff. But if you're doing that kind of thing, you should probably work on a workstation and not on a very tightly put together little thing like this. Yeah. All right, here we go. Just need once again, use a little more force to get these screws in. All right. We don't want this. We want these screws in because the card's weight is going to be on these two screws, and we don't want it falling in.
Yeah, no, that is important.
Yeah. All right, there it goes. Okay. Whew.
That's probably easier to do laying down than standing up.
Yeah, so just so the audience could see, we had to put a couple of screws into the back of the video card. Last two cables. Okay, we're almost there. These are the power for the video card. Let's put them underneath the rail here. And
Brilliant cable management.
yeah, this is
Top notch.
I would give myself a 4 out of 10 for this.
Sounds about to open a store, a boutique shop where he does nothing but manages cables.
That is probably not going to happen.
That's not your passion?
That is not my passion, and probably not my forte, even if I could get myself to do it. Yeah, it's a certain sort of Zen art to running all this stuff where it needs to run. The other thing is there's a big rail here at the top of the case that you might be able to see, and it's pretty much in the wrong spot for
being helpful.
Yeah, for being helpful, exactly. You sort of have to feed this outwards. And
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Okay. All right, now, so the only thing we really haven't hooked up is that one fan, and we're going to wing it. So here's the tricky part.
It's sort of the order of the day here.
So I don't know what you can see there, but
the back of the motherboard.
Back of the motherboard. I turned this around to show the audience, but let's do it this way. Can you come over here, Matt, and just grab that?
Hold the
Yeah,
case
you
steady.
can just kick that stuff aside. And we're going to turn it this way. The hole works. Yeah.
Oh, so that
Right, like that.
they can see what's going on.
Yep. Okay.
It looks cool once it's all now assembled and standing upright for all
Right.
for all the effort that went into it. It's kind of a neat little box.
Right, now this is the part that worried me the most, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, it is saying. I'm curious where this is going.
All right, so we have this rail here. So I'm going to pick this up. Can you pull the rail out? If you look on the
Yes.
bottom there, it's like a drawer all the way. Right, good. Okay, and then I'm going to try and...
I wonder how much weight that rail.
That's
weighted
what I'm
for.
afraid of, yeah. It actually said in the
At
instructions.
full extension, you probably don't want to leave it hanging out long. If you just set it on and slide it back, you should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you want to not leave it. It even said in the manual to not leave it suspended, on its own weight.
Yeah.
So it's this part of the case I actually found rather tricky, even when it was empty. And of course, now it's not empty. So,
I'll help like hold
yeah,
this
if you
so
can just
can
hold it
direct
up.
it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay. I see, I'm off center, that's why. There we go. Okay, let's stop there. Let's not force anything. Oh, we almost made it.
So close. Yeah, there's like a mess of cables back there, so it's kind of just a... Not that
It went
much of a
in.
mess of cables.
Well, all right. So, that's, yeah, it's in. All right, so we had, I'm just going to put one thumb
I think
screw
the sides
back.
can go more.
A little more?
It's sort of a...
Oh, yeah, I'm going to put a screw in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it bounces a little.
Oh, yeah, okay. There's a little give, but it's not...
Yeah.
There's no like click or anything that you're waiting for.
No, even when it was empty, there wasn't any. Can you let go for a moment?
Gotcha.
I will just lift it up like this. And, excuse me, I'm just going to hold it upright if you would.
The graphics card, especially when you put something this high end in it, through the top looks really cool, I will say. We'll show you in a second.
Yeah, we would have, I wanted to find a card that actually had some lighting, but we had a 1080, but it was about a foot thick, it seemed like, and it was really not going to work.
No, the NVIDIA at least makes their cards look super,
it looks pretty classy.
super high tech.
Right, so I'm actually going to tilt it over so we can see that, because that's
Yeah,
just too cool.
That's pretty cool.
Too cool for words. All right.
That's a pretty good look.
All right, so I'm hoping it's going to boot, and we're not going to have to take it apart again.
That would be ideal. We're not going to let it
Right.
run for long because we don't have
We don't have
we
thermal
don't
paste.
have thermal paste. We don't have a fan.
No, well, the fan I'm not too worried about.
have a
Thermal paste, I
question.
wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah.
What if you didn't close the case and tried to SLI with another GPU on the USB?
I admire where your head's at.
SLI with another GPU. I'm trying to think of how you would do that.
It's just like chilling on a table.
like on a table. So, I mean, well, actually, there's no additional video card slot on this motherboard.
Yes, that is the problem.
Yeah, so it's a single, it's a Mini-ITX board. It only
Yeah.
has one slot. So that's, unless you use an external GPU, but then you can't SLI it. You
Right.
can just, what could you do? You can put an external GPU in a box and make it be a Titan. Oh, but then you
Yes.
need Thunderbolt 3
Then you
on
would-
here.
right.
Yeah, so not happening. Sorry, we need a bigger case to do that.
You dreamt too big.
Yeah, that's, well,
Another question.
So what is the difference in performance if you did, say, use an external GPU unit along with an internal GPU? Like,
you can't use them together. At least in the current implementation, you would need to have Thunderbolt 3 on the motherboard, and that would take the place of the internal GPU as opposed to augmenting it. So yeah, and that technology, we're actually going to talk about that next week on Random Access. We have one of those external Thunderbolt 3 boxes.
Sure.
Real interesting product, but really early in the life cycle.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
are starting to catch on to those a bit, but it's they're useful for notebooks,
Yeah.
less so for desktops.
Yeah, but we had some real issues getting it up and running. So speaking of up and running, let's see if this is going to work.
Yeah.
So we've got it plugged into power.
No, there's no like case lighting on the outside, maybe other than the power button, which
yeah,
is
I
on
don't
the front.
think so, which is unfortunate. It's got so much sort of flair. But
Like a cool sort of circular lighting might be cool. I could also see that disrupting the. I don't know. I almost wish these were like trimmed with LEDs or something. But
here you go.
I also
Yeah.
appreciate the minimalist sort of angle because there's sometimes people go a little crazy with the lighting on cases. So I don't actually mind that they kept it a little simpler.
Yeah, this is a. Well, we'll see when we. There might actually be some lighting in there that I'm not aware of. So we'll see what happens when we fire it
maybe
up.
there is interior case lighting. I didn't see any, but
Yeah, no, I don't think there is. You're right. I don't think there is. So we're just hooking up this monitor over here to see if we have a successful boot or not.
just
Okay.
a little more give.
All right. Yeah, we don't really need the
Peripherals.
keyboard, right? Okay. There we go.
Doink.
All right, plug in the monitor.
Display port out of my way. This is backwards.
All right, so let me just plug in the power into the monitor there, and then I think we should be ready for a moment of truth.
For prime time.
All right, here we go. So we can't really see the monitor, but that means the audience will be first to know if we succeeded or not.
If it doesn't indeed boot, is that
All right,
everything?
want
Is
to give
the
it a
power supply flipped on?
Not sure. Let's see. Oh, the button is up front.
Yep.
Do it.
Nothing happened.
Nothing. Try again.
There's a fan hitting a wire somewhere in there.
Yep, that's what it is. Okay, we're going to go in there and see what that is.
Get in there and take it apart.
Get in there, but it sounds like we've got power.
I bet because the case has to close up against the inside, one of the wires probably bubbled up and is pushing against...
Into the CPU power,
Yeah.
into the CPU fan, right.
Most likely.
That sounds great.
It sounds wonderful. Sort of my new favorite sound. Like just my ringtone.
But we have an ECS BIOS here. So
It does boot.
So
It's just not happy about it.
right, no, it doesn't appear to be, but I'm happy about it. What
I'm
about
happy
you?
about it. It does work.
I'm very happy about it.
That's a job well done, I say.
Yeah, so basically what we would do is, well, first of all, switch it off.
'Cause-
So we don't have to listen to it grinding away there. Open it up. Make sure to clear the cables from in front of
Yep.
in front of the CPU fan.
Yep.
Because the only other spinning thing in here is the graphics card. And the graphics card
Graphics card fans on top, it's very clear.
Yeah, so basically,
And yeah, make sure we find a way to attach that other CPU fan. Also, obviously, we'd have to go all the way back to the beginning of the build and add some thermal paste. But
Right.
we were doing this as we went, just to see if it worked and see if everything fit, which
right.
it does.
So we got a 7700K
Yes.
Intel running in there, highest end mainstream Intel chip. 1080 Ti. We'll get it benchmarked and up and running
Yeah,
and see what
how
this
it
is
does.
capable of. But
Not
it is-
bad parts for such a small, kind of interesting,
Yeah.
unique case. I
Yeah,
think,
you
I think we did
really-
an all right job.
You really can't stuff much more in there.
No.
Both in terms of the space in here and in practical fact.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you could do is use like an Intel Core X maybe. There are, I believe there might be a Mini-ITX motherboard available for that
Okay.
from ASRock, but that
Even then,
requires
right, the cooling, we're not sure how the thermal throttling will be even as it is. So
I don't even know if
see.
you can get a cooler that will fit in there for X299.
Probably not. You
yeah.
think a liquid cooler would be the way to go for this case?
Oh,
now
yeah.
that we've seen it,
Yeah,
there'd be room for the radiator and everything else. You think still?
The case actually supports liquid cooling.
Okay.
There's a couple of mount points in the front, and the actual head that go over the CPU is a lot smaller than that sort of big radiator that we put over it.
Sure.
So my advice here would be either we run with an Intel stock cooler, like a much smaller, more compact cooler, or say something like a Corsair Deep Cool Thermaltake single fan water cooler. And I mean, even though we'd water cool this is not for the purpose of overclocking. I wouldn't overclock this thing. I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's already probably pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, no, there's the thermals in this are not going to be ideal for overclocking at all.
No.
So this is more of a bragging rights. What can you do in a Mini-ITX case? So hey,
And
so
hey, we did a lot. We fit the parts in. We were irresponsible. We drew blood. I think that's overall a success.
yeah, that's pretty good afternoon's work.
Yeah,
in my,
turn the computer
opinion.
on without a fan and without thermal paste, and I think that's kind of everyone's dream.
Right there we go. So hey, we're living the dream, man.
We're living the dream. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with a regular sort of news tech update segment next week, and then eventually we'll have another build for you. But keep checking back. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, leave a like, and thank you for watching. I've been Matthew Buzzy from PC Mag. This is John Burek, editor-in-chief of Computer Shopper. Thanks for coming.
Take care.